I thought I would read it. Just wanted to welcome you all and thank you for being here. As we come together today to talk about poetry and water, the importance of both in our lives is obvious. It is said that the earth contains 71% water. Being alive on the earth means that we all have some relationship to these watery places, whether they be oceans, rivers, streams, lakes, or water slides even. The majestic beauty of a large body of it is as great as any natural still life. It hugs our mountain sides and caresses our city shoulders. It speaks to us through itself. Water envelops us and protects. It is our ever-present interlocutor. As we may remember someone telling us once, our bodies are about 60% water. Our brain and heart, two traditional arbiters of justice, love, and sense, are made up of 73%, and our kidneys, the original and organic Brita filters, are 79%. It is said that even our bones, hard and seemingly never-ending, hold the precious fluid too at about 31%. Drink your water, we are often told by mothers and health professionals. I know I for sure have said that to quite a few people in recent years. And 99.999% of the time, these naggings are right. Water makes most things better and is the most salient, most precious after-hours cocktail in the ethos. Better than a sparkling olive-infused and raspberry-flavored can of the amalgam of itself. Water is the original perfume, better than a million roses on the vine and repackaged into synthetic pheromones. Better than because it made those roses grow. It is the original idea of roses. Water is the original idea. When we think about water in 2020, it is hard not to feel stressed about the idea that everyone does not have easy access to it. Access to clean water is justice, and we have seen in recent years the atrocities on our water systems here in the U.S., where fresh water has not been a top priority, to say the very least, causing health issues both in the present and future, and distress on nearly every level. We have also seen greed attempt to outpower people's rights to their land, as the government has threatened to use sacred indigenous grounds for oil, threatening also access to free and clean water for everyone. And as we struggle too with human-induced climate change and the potential loss of water resources, the global effects of rising waters and melting icebergs, we must now grapple with how we will provide clean water for everyone equitably. It feels crucial right now to state the obvious. Everyone alive deserves clean, fresh water and easy access to it. Water itself as an entity has traditionally been used in the far past, recent past, and in the now as a place of transit, immigration, a place to exert boundaries and borders, as a place people have died and been reborn, a place we have laughed and lounged in, and recreated ourselves in blessings and curses. As the greatest unoiled fluid and antidote against patience, I feel that we must all agree on some level that our waterways, both frozen and flowing, and other natural resources are places to be reserved, preserved, and restored. I must assert that I hope our future includes a deeper respect of water. Water is the most basic resource and is a baseline of human survival. Without it, we are only tiny percentages of our other components. Water is the fire liquid that lights us up and makes us who we are, containing invisible properties that enliven every inch of us, that makes our rose a rose. Poetry is also a necessary and vital resource. Poets have always known we need it to survive and to be who we are. It flows everywhere in clear electrical currents from a source unbeknownst to us, and to us all wrapped up in a truly real sense of knowing. I must assert that I hope our future includes a deeper respect of poetry. For poetry too is part of our survival. Although some might not know enough about about it to agree, our brains and bodies are at least 96% poetry. Our Earth systems max out at 120% lyricism, and the droplets in the air contain poetry that courses rhythmically in percentages, always of at least 88%. Our waterways contain poetry as powerful ichor, each cell-to-cell junction both on the smallest scale and intergalactically, both poetry and water flowing from the same never-ending source, which remembers everything. Read your poetry, our teachers and poets tell us, and they are right. Both poetry and water have memory. Their memories are intertwined completely and contain the knowledge of everything that has ever happened to us. When we drink or expel water, we take in and let go the knowledge of that which has happened, and too poetry lets in and flows all that has happened to us. Both water and poems are malleable, fitting into wherever they need to. They do not stand fixed in the space of language and culture. They make the language and culture what it is and what it will be. They contain an endless grammar, syntax, and overall structure because they have no need for any of these things. They make their own space because they are the necessities of life. They are our gentle parents, holding us from birth until the grave. As we begin today, it feels necessary to thank our beloved poets who have traveled far and wide to be here for this symposium. The poets here are among my group of deepest poetic heroes, and their presence here today means everything to me. Thank you, poets, for sharing your work with us. I call this symposium the Wild Eye because I think like water and poetry, the poets today have eyes that resist all levels of confinement. I am excited that the poets' only inspiration for their presentation and discussions is the idea of poetry and water, and just as these things have no set form, their presentations do not necessarily either. I can't wait to see where this conversation will go and how we might think of new ways to consider how poetry and water intersect. I want to thank Dean Carol Becker, the Dean of the School of the Arts, and Gavin Browning, Director of Public Programs and Engagement here at Lenfest Center for the Arts, for their immense support in the planning and execution of this event. I love you both, and I thank you for creating a space for artists to dream and make events that attempt to match those dreams. This symposium is part of the Year of Water at the School of the Arts in Columbia University. Thank you again to Dean Carol Becker for including the symposium within the Year of Water initiative. This school-wide initiative is meant to create opportunities for water to be in conversation with disciplines in the arts, such as poetry, as in the case of this event. And there have been many exciting events this year and more to come. This symposium was made possible by a Lenfest Junior Faculty Grant, funding from the Dean's Office at the School of the Arts, and a Catherine Garrison Chapin Seminars in Poetry. Thank you to these sources for their support of this event. Other thank yous go to Sylvia Jindick and Edison Angebello, two amazing poets who have helped produce this symposium and who are the most fantastic people to work with. Thank you, Sylvia and Eddie, for working so hard this spring to make this symposium a reality. Thank you to other wonderful people here who have helped put this symposium together today, like Blake Kyle, Stephanie Philp, Julian Day, Cheyenne Figueroa Bennett, and Aaron Henry Aceves for all of their help with today. So in your programs, you'll see how the rest of the day is scheduled, and you'll also see the poets' bios in theirs too, because I'm not gonna be reading those. We have 3 panels and then a final reading in the late afternoon. Each poet will present in a group of 3, and there will be time for Q&A at the end of each grouping. It is my hope that you'll hear very little of me talking today, aside from what you just had to listen to, and that we will showcase the beautiful thoughts and ideas of these groundbreaking and iconic poets. Also, something else to mention is that you should feel free to go and come back as you wish, but that you should keep your wristbands on, as it will allow you to get back easily into the building. Yesterday marked the 2-year anniversary of the loss of a poet who was always very much on my mind, our director of poetry for a quarter of a century here at Columbia, and one of my most important mentors, the poet Lucy Brock Broido. I thought as a blessing for the day I'd share the last stanza of her poem, Domestic Mysticism, with us as watery inspiration. I draw a bath, enter the water as a god enters water, fertile, knowing, kind, surrounded by glass objects which could break easily if mishandled or ill-touched. Everyone knows an unworshipped woman will betray you. There is always that promise. I like that. Kingdom of kinesis, kingdom of benevolent, I will betray as a god betrays, with tender-heartedness. I've got this mystic streak in me. So now we're going to welcome up our three poets for the first panel, and they will be exploring the themes of poetry, water, place, space, and time, or whatever they want. And the first one is Abigail Chibitinoy, Mattia Harvey, and Selena Sue. So please join me in welcoming them.